Welcome to the very first Mold Show. I'm Adam Horn, your host. My co-host Sean McGrath. I am a Florida state licensed mold remediator, and Sean is a Florida state licensed mold assessor with certified mold assessments. Sean, welcome to the Mold Show, our first ever episode. How's it going, bro?
Great, Adam. Love the energy you're bringing. I know we've been excited talking about this over the last few months,
Yeah.
getting it started, and you're bringing the right energy tonight. I love it.
I mentioned you're a Florida state mold assessor. What does that mean? What does that title mean?
Yeah. So in the state of Florida, you have to be licensed by the state.
Mhm.
We're one of just a handful of states that requires licensing.
Mhm.
And I'm also a certified indoor environmentalist,
Okay.
which is a certification, one of the certifications anyway. That's good to have before you get licensed.
Mhm.
And yeah, I work for Certified Mold Assessments, a company that was started back in 2010, I believe, by Al Rabin, our founder. Some of our listeners may have talked with him in the past consults, and I know we hope to have him on the show here soon.
Definitely.
Hopefully, the next one when we talk about the assessment side of things.
Right.
And yeah, we're the two license holders. We also have Brad Gatton that works with us, who's another license holder, and yeah.
Awesome, man. Yeah, my role is as a Florida state licensed mold remediator. And similarly to your licenses, not every state requires a license for mold remediation.
Right.
Florida being one of those. Remediation, fancy word for removal or abatement. There's a lot of different words out there that people use in our industry for removal of toxic materials. Mold falling into that category. And I wear a bunch of different hats. What used to be a adjuster for a big insurance company, and then once the state started to regulate, I fell into the restoration industry, and then ultimately into the mold remediation industry, and now that's what we do. We specialize in it. So you and I bring two completely different things to the table. But one thing that is similar is that we're in moldy buildings quite a lot. And, I kind of wanted to paint the picture for people who don't know. The first question I usually get, and I'm sure you guys usually get, is do I have a mold problem? How do I know if I have a mold problem? And I'll let you answer that question.
Yeah, you're exactly right. A lot of people are unsure. They have things that are happening in their house, or maybe symptoms they're experiencing in their house that are a little unusual.
Mhm.
Or maybe their doctor or somebody who's been through mold illness in the past is kind of in their ear saying you might want to get this checked. But you know, I would say 90% of the time it's not a visible problem in the house, so people truly don't know where it could be hiding.
Yeah, and so that's where sampling, what you guys do, really plays a part, right? Gives us the answers we don't know based off of what we can see, which is limited in most cases. So maybe talk about what type of sampling do you guys do for those who've never had any mold testing done. Maybe just kind of play out a quick description of what you might do on a typical project. Somebody calls you, they say, hey, we feel like we may have it, or somebody smells it in the home, or my doctor says I may be affected, or I had some blood work and it shows I have maybe been exposed. What would you typically do in a scenario like that? And I know that's everything. Every project is completely different, but
Right.
where do you start with something like that?
Well, I'd love to go in really, really deep detail on its own
Yeah.
episode here
Oh no,
shortly.
for sure,
But
for
yeah,
sure.
just a quick rundown. Typically when people call us, Al does a really good job of taking all the time people need to ask all the questions they need to, and for them to really understand our process,
Hmm.
because it's a stressful situation for most families. Scary thought, the fact that their house could be making them sick. But we come in, do really deep dive, use a lot of equipment, and of course are very thorough with our visual inspection
Hmm.
to try to isolate potential sources. And most of the time, well, actually, I would say majority of the time, yeah, we're not even really looking for for mold. We're looking for signs of previous or current water damage
Yep.
where mold could be hiding. And based off of our assessment, we can do air sampling, surface sampling, wall cavity sampling. Depending on the situation, how serious the situation is, we have a wide range of other type of testing
Yep.
that we can do to get down to the species and whether or not toxins are actually present. And from there, we develop a very strategic protocol for a remediation company like yours to follow.
Yeah, answers, solid answers, and that's what we like as remediators, is to kind of know what it is we're dealing with, because as a remediator, we're limited to what we can see as well. And just like the homeowner, we may be able to kind of, gather information in regards to what may have happened in the home previously. But a lot of times, the homeowner or the building owner doesn't even have all that information.
Right.
Maybe they're the fifth owner of the building. Maybe, like me, the house is 100 years old, and you don't know the full history of the building, and ultimately, getting more information is helpful in putting a plan together for whatever the plan of attack is going to be for removing the mold from the structure, or even evaluating to determine if it's even there. And I think that goes back to the question I asked you: do I have a mold problem? And I think that's ultimately what most people want to know, so they can make a educated decision on how to proceed. And maybe they're caught between them and the insurance company. The insurance company saying, "Hey, you don't have an issue here," or that's nothing. We hear that we hear that quite a bit.
Yeah, especially here in recent years.
Yeah,
But you're exactly right. Yeah, we kind of set the roadmap, if you will,
yeah,
for really big decisions down the road. We're
yep.
just kind of the first step. We again set the roadmap for the next steps so the client can make educated decisions on their home and their health.
Yeah, and you mentioned, this is our first episode. We're going to go into great detail in regards to what the process looks like. Where you should test, why you should test, the types of tests. There's so many tests, so many I don't even. And I look at reports and there's more sampling processes I've never even been exposed to in some cases, and all the information is helpful, especially for the homeowner who's trying to figure out what the heck is going on here. Maybe they don't feel good. Maybe their children don't feel good, or their husband doesn't feel good, or they feel something is off, and ultimately they're looking for answers. And I know I take a lot of pride in trying to help people figure out their issues, and it's not always evident. Even with the information, you don't necessarily always know what you're getting into until you start the remediation process. Nobody knows how widespread it is ultimately until you start tearing out materials.
Hmm.
And so that's a little snippet of what the testing role is, and then ultimately you pass those testing results on to a company like us, who then comes in and helps the homeowner put together a plan for the actual removal. And that's obviously that's very vague because every project is different, and we'll go into more detail in regards to what does removal mean. Is it is there some type of magical fairy dust you're fogging into my walls or into my into my building to eat up all the mold spores? I get questions like that, like how do you know all those things? And that's honestly why you and I decided to start this podcast, right? Because there's a lot of information out there, and you and I are constantly having discussions with building owners and homeowners and specialists in the industry and realtors and investors and everybody who's purchasing buildings, living in buildings, or occupying spaces where they could have exposures. And so I think that's for me anyways, that was one of the main reasons I wanted to do something like this with you, Sean, is to have discussions, not just me and you, but bring in maybe some of our clients, other experts in the field, so you and I can get further educated on this process. Because obviously we don't have all the answers either, but we do have a lot of experience in the field dealing with these issues.
Yeah, you're exactly right. We wanted to create a podcast where we have the two different perspectives here
Yeah.
from the assessment side and the remediation side. Where our companies are separate and apart from
Yep.
each other. You'll probably hear us stress that multiple times
Yeah.
over the course of the show. But we do work together to help clients and meet their objective there. And like you said, yeah, we hope to have some professionals not only in our industry but HVAC industry. Hopefully, from the insurance adjusting side of things.
Yep.
Hopefully, we can have some physicians and doctors on to kind of help us educate us what they see on that end. And ultimately, the goal is to help people that are listening make educated decisions, throughout their process.
Yeah, we're here for you guys. If you have questions, please, we feel free to ask those questions. We'll do our best to try to maybe cover some of those on the next episode, or maybe have a conversation with you privately if that better suits you. All of our contact information is listed below, and we do want to stress. Ultimately, there are a lot of differing opinions out there, and ultimately, we're not here to claim that ours is, in fact, the rule of law. We follow strict guidelines, but we're open to discussion because I'm learning every day on projects. There are no two projects are ever the same. No two buildings are ever the same. You know as well as I do that there are a lot of issues that our buildings commonly are dealing with, overall. But I get surprised all the time, so it's always a learning experience. It's never fun for the homeowner. It's never a fun thing. But like I said, I do love helping people get back to an environment that is safe for them and their family. And that's always the goal, no matter what. That I can't stress that enough. And that's why you and I do what we do, man. We're here to help. And that's why we started the Mold Show.
Yeah. And like you said, there are standards we have to follow
Yeah.
within our industry, just
Yeah.
like any other industry. Um, but sometimes it takes thinking outside the box when you're dealing with immune compromised people, which,
Yep.
I'm sure there's a lot of people that are going to be listening to the show that
Yep.
are in that boat.
Yep.
So yeah, just wanted to make sure we mentioned that so people could keep that in mind. And yeah, I'm excited to get this going. And it's been a long time coming. We've been talking about this for a while, so I'm excited.
Absolutely. Well, man, can't wait for the next one. Stay tuned, guys. Please like, subscribe, throw your questions our way, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully next episode, like Adam said, go a little deeper. More than likely they're not all going to be this short, but wanted to set the foundation for the show, give you the right expectations, and yeah, hopefully people will tune in and we can help them learn about the world of mold.
Oh, clearly, because you and I can go on for hours,
Mhm.
and oftentimes do discussing particular issues or concerns or projects, and I'm excited to do that here, on this format, and talk to people about their issues, and potentially help them, even if it's just in them listening to the show or in a consultation type format, or ultimately helping them out, in their on their project. I do want to say, you and I are both based out of Florida, but we're willing to help people all over the country, all over the planet. Honestly, if you have questions anywhere, I mean, there's no environment, there's nobody's immune to potentially having potential mold issues. So we're here to help for sure.
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll be able to provide places where people can submit questions. It's going to be impossible probably to get to everything,
Yeah.
but hopefully, we can set aside some of the more, I don't want to say generic questions, but questions we get asked a lot that maybe can be more relatable to every situation.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, hopefully we can put those aside and discuss them on the show.
Definitely, man. All right. Well, stay tuned. We'll see you soon. All right. I didn't know how to end.